here today, and we're going to attempt, anyways, to do a teardown on the new Mercury Rise IntruBuster Generation 2 .68 caliber marker, air gun launcher. Goes by many names. So what we're going to do is we're going to take apart the clamshell carefully for the first time. I don't know if there's any videos yet out there on this, so nothing that I can really leverage to prepare myself. But knowing that it shares, or it's a distant cousin to the X68, the Pistelli, I feel comfortable enough with that marker to say that, we're going to give it a try. We're going to tear it down. I don't know how far we're going to go, but we're definitely going to open the clamshell today. Okay. So on the other video I did, we removed the rear cap and firing pin assembly, removed the I guess they call it the piston assembly, right? The valve and the bolt and spring and all that. We looked at various O-rings. We noted things, some differences, some similarities, and some differences. We noticed that they got rid of that O-ring on the front of the bolt. The material of the bolt that it's made out of looks to be better. Although I don't think the material was too shabby to begin with on the X68. But yeah, anyways, before I continue rambling on, let's put some focus down on today on getting these, 10 screws, I think it is. Not an awful lot of screws, and they're larger. So thank you, Mercury Rise, for using larger screws. Yeah, so let me start off by taking the one accessory I do have on the gun, the green laser. Let me start off by removing that. And shouldn't take too long to remove this. Just loosen the Allen key here on this one. Loosen it a little bit more. And should be able to just, well, actually, I guess I will loosen it some more. Let's try that. Third time a charm. There we go. We'll take that off there, put that aside, and yeah, we'll take the magazine out. All right, and look at that. I had it loaded and ready to go. Don't believe there's anything else in there. No. Yeah, so I had 6 rounds of alien play, the gray ones. These are actually nice ammo. The aluminum with some sort of, I don't know, I'll have to research and see what it is, because it's different. Definitely different than the original aluminum alien play. So, yeah. Alright, so we'll take the ammo out. I do believe I have a CO2 cartridge in here, so we'll be taking that out. I had this thing loaded and ready to go in the closet, so yes, indeed, I got one of those in there. I believe it's probably going to be oily, because I always put a little bit of silicone on these. I'm going to wipe that off. And we'll put that over there. All right, what next? What next should we do? Do we want to take the barrel out? Yeah, what the hell? We'll take the barrel out. I don't know that we need to take the clamshell off, but let's take it out anyways. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, right? And while we have that barrel out, good time to clean it, but I want to inspect it too really quick and take a look in here. Yeah. Some oil. It's a little dirty from the what did I shoot? Three CO2s, 4 CO2s through this thing. Maybe, yeah, probably about 4. Doesn't look bad. Doesn't look bad at all. Yeah. I'm not seeing any damage, any scoring anywhere. I mean, it's not even taking the finish off inside this. I do believe this is a steel barrel and not aluminum. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Unless it's stainless steel is not magnetic, is it? Yeah, so I can't really tell that way. It looks like steel. It's probably stainless steel. Although stainless steel is a little magnetic, if I remember correctly. Anyways, I'm not seeing any marks. There's been some viewers that have made, comments about, are you concerned running aluminum ammunition down the barrel? And I mean, I don't know. Like, am I concerned? No, I'm not concerned. I mean, how much damage is it going to do to it? And if it does, I get another barrel. I don't know. I'm not very concerned about it at all, obviously. I mean, I look at it from firearm perspective. We've been running copper jacketed ammunition and steel, in some cases steel jacketed ammunition down our barrels in the firearm industry for sport for like forever. I mean, I know those barrels are rifled, but still, I don't really see a problem with it. I could be wrong, but everybody's entitled to their own opinion. If you don't want to run it, don't run it. There you go. Let it die there. However, if someone's running aluminum down their metal barrel, so be it. Most of the barrels I have aren't steel anyways, they're aluminum. And honestly, I don't know how you could tell if an aluminum ball was causing damage because the aluminum is so rough looking to begin with. If you ever see the inside of an aluminum barrel that hasn't been, treated or polished, pretty rough looking. So I don't think it's a big deal. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But I'm going with that. So the barrel's out. And I don't see any noticeable damage. Of course, if I was running rounds down this thing at a higher feet per second, maybe more often, maybe there'd be some. I don't know. I still wouldn't really care. I mean, what's it, $50 barrel at the most? All right, so I'm not going to take the back cap out again, at least not right now anyways. I want to take the clamshell off carefully and see if we can find out what is behind the curtain, right? Like the Wizard of Oz, what's behind the curtain. All right, so I'm using a number 3 Phillips. And I guess we're just going to start. Where do we want to start? I guess we'll start over here. I think I counted 10 of these. Yeah, number 3 fits really nice. I'm not even putting super amounts of downward pressure, although it is a good habit to do that. Nothing seems to be stripping out at all, so. All right. I noticed these holes are pretty deep that the screws are in. So, may have to tip it over carefully to get the screws to pop out. Or maybe they'll stay in there. Maybe they'll stay in their places. Like good little screws. I don't know. Anyways, I've been dying to take this thing apart. Don't ask me why. I don't know. We can hear that plastic flex a little bit. Yeah, I've been dying to take it apart. I hope I don't. I hope I don't regret it. Probably not. But all right. Definitely, this is the first time, so we want to keep track of how long these screws are as well. Or maybe they'll just stay in the clamshell. They might just stay in this clamshell. They may be somewhat captive. Kind of like you guys are now, right? You guys are captive. You're my captive audience. Yeah, I think they're unscrewed, but they could be captive. All right. So that's what, 4 so far. Got another one here. All right. this one next. Okay, all right. That screw looks pretty much like the same screws that the Mercury Rise torpedo uses. Okay, which shouldn't surprise me since it's both Mercury Rise products. So we're going to put that screw, it came out, so we're going to put it aside on the magnetics over here. And maybe I just needed to unscrew these further for them to pop out. Maybe. Those holes are pretty deep though. Let's see if these will come out. Want something to compare that first one by. This one's trying to come out. Come on. Not quite, I might have to get my stronger magnet maybe. All right, what do we have here? So far we got one out, the one right in the middle here. Doesn't look super long or anything, so we're gonna do the back one near the rear sight. Oh, speaking of which, the rear sight. I probably should have looked at that first, huh? Yeah, it looks like you gotta drift it out. This front one actually looks like it's just gonna, kinda, wow. Yeah, it looks like it's just kinda inside between the clamshell. This back one here. Yeah, let me drift that out before I get any more screws off. Let me see which way it's supposed to go. It doesn't look like there's a stop on either side, so my guess is you can tap it either way. So let me get something. Something. We're gonna take, we got some brass here. One of these maybe. I don't know if this thing's gonna, let me see if I can put something up and wedged up and behind it. Let's see, what do I got? That's not gonna work. All right, I can probably hold it with my hand. All right. I'll take this little drift and brass drift and give it a tap. See if it moves. Yeah, so kind of like the beaming, right? The rear sight has to get tapped. It's just pushed in there. Looks like I'm gonna have to tap it the whole way off, though. Let's give her another tap. Put her on something here. There we go. Wasn't too bad. No damage. Now, if you didn't have like a brass drift like this, you probably could just use. For that matter, I probably could have used, something like this maybe. If you got, believe it or not, I think this is a chopstick or something. I don't know. It's some piece of bamboo, I think. I found it in the kitchen. I found it, so now it's mine. The wife hasn't come looking for it, so I guess she's not missing it at all. Found two of these. So I don't know, they might have been chopsticks, I don't know. But comes in handy for various things. But yeah, you probably could get away with, you know, using that. Just something you're not going to damage the plastic, ideally, you know. All right, so that is that. Okay, it goes in and out. It looks like you just bang it out one way and put it back in afterwards the same way. So, all right, back at it. So we have this screw, which is, I believe, where I left off, the one near the rear sight. And seems captive as well, so that's just fine. I mean, if they want to stay in there, we're going to lift it off carefully and they can stay in there if it doesn't go getting lost. All right, this one back here, definitely on this one here in the back on the bottom where the rear cap is, keep good downward pressure, because that one there, it's a very deep hole, and it was a little harder. You can almost feel like it wanted to try to strip on you. So keep good downward pressure. All right. Yeah. I don't know. It's just spinning, so I'm guessing that is captive. All right. Good downward pressure on these. Same thing with that one. I mean, nothing's stripped. It is spinning. I can see it spinning, so it's just not lifting as it spins. So I'm thinking they're captive in the plastic. All right. Now this one here much easier because it's not as deep of a hole that this screws in. All right. See, this one, it's not as deep of a hole, so it seems like it wants to come out. Yeah, there it is. So that's only the second screw I actually was able to get out of there. So let me compare these two. All right, this was from the handle. Yeah, I mean, they look the same length, so they look the same length. Just looking for any screws that could be longer or shorter for that matter. This way I'm not surprised when I go to put it back together and I end up putting the wrong screw somewhere. But it looks like it's going to be like the Mercury Rise torpedo, TR-50 torpedo, where pretty much all the screws are this size, and I don't even think any were longer. With the TR-50 by Umerix, it had that one long screw over here, over by the mock cylinder. But so far the Mercury Rise products, there's no trickery. They give you one size. All right, so I could feel that there's definitely something spring-loaded under here, because yeah, I could definitely feel that this half of the clamshell wanted to lift. So I'm gonna have to be really careful and see. What that was, because again, I don't know what to expect, but something feels springy. Let me take, where's my flashlight? I just had the thing. Oh, there it is. Okay. I hate it when you lose stuff that you just had. And let's see what could be in there. Well, there are detents that are connected to each side of the clamshell that come through into the bolt chamber. Detents that hold the balls in place. So maybe that's some of it, or there's another spring in here, maybe part of the trigger, because it feels like it's over here. So it's probably something with in the trigger area. The trigger group, I should say. Excuse me. Allergies are brutal. Sorry if I'm clearing my throat a lot. All right, so I'm expecting that there's going to be. Yeah, this is not the one I want. Where's the? There we go. The set that I usually use. Good job, Alan. Okay, so I got to catch something or squeeze something. I'm expecting that this trigger group's probably what's under pressure. I hope that's all it is. I don't know if I should try to hold down. Yeah, okay. All right, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's what it was. Oh my goodness. Look at that. Oh my goodness. Are you kidding me? What does that look like? All right. It almost looks more simple. Did they do away with that crazy restrictor valve in the back and just went with a handle restrictor? That'd be pretty cool if they did, because you know what that means. If you leverage this for purely HBA, there's some extra volume you can get. I know my Less Than Lethal for Dummies friend would agree with me there, since turned me on to that idea. All right, so here's a spring setup. Yeah, so this has got like detents, just like, you know, the more I look at this thing, it's like a BP50 on steroids, guys. You know, it's basically what it is. I mean, there ain't shit in here. Like this. Look at that. It looks like, okay, so that's probably give me trouble going back on, just like the BP50. Except for there's less springs. The BP50 is more complicated than this thing. But the same detent type of system. You know, a little spring over here. There must be one on the other side. Yeah. Are these screws captive? I didn't hear any come flying out. Yeah, they are. Great. So out of 10 screws, I had 2 that were loose enough to come out, that I took out with magnets, and probably would have lost those if I had flipped this over. But as you can see, the other 8 screws are fine. So that was one at the bottom handle, right? Your palm part of the handle here. That one you want to watch out for, okay? Maybe take it out with a magnet so it doesn't fall out on the floor and you go hunting for it. It was that one, and it was the one at the very top here, like dead center of the gun. Okay, this one and this one. You want to note that if you have to take this apart. But again, I don't know why why would you take this apart other than you're curious like I am right now. Maybe it'll replace the detents. But they're metal. They look like little BBs. Yeah, there's like a real thick silicone type grease on there too. And spring. I guess if you needed to replace those, but I can't imagine they're going to wear out like they do on the Pastelli. I've changed the set on the Pastelli. Matter of fact, let me put this down for a second. I'm holding this like a ding-dong here. Anyways, yeah, so 10 of the screws were captive in place, so just watch out for the top middle one. Take it out with a magnet, or be careful when you flip it over. It's going to come flying out probably. And then the palm side of the handle, that one. Okay, so note that, guys. If you're going to take this apart, you don't lose those screws. Otherwise, the rest are in the clamshell. I'm going to just put it aside. The front sight, interesting enough, like I suspected, it's just sitting in there. Okay. A little fiber active sight. It's just sitting in here. Little tiny groove. Sitting in there, and I guess it stays in place once it's all tightened down. The bar looks similar. This whole valve assembly over here, the cover where the sear is, it's actually really clean. There's really no grease in there at all. I'll probably lubricate it with some of that before I put the clamshell back on. I'll lubricate it with some of this Super Lube synthetic grease, because it's bone dry in here. Bone dry. There's grease right there and nothing in here. So you got moving parts over here, and they didn't even grease that. But they greased the detent ball. So we'll grease that before we put it back together. The trigger, so all that spring tension I felt trying to lift the clamshell was apparently it was this trigger group, like I was saying. The trigger group and maybe the mag release. No, that probably wasn't doing it. That just comes out super easy. Yeah, so that's going to be a headache, I bet, putting it back on, lining it up. Except for the good news is with this, is as you're fumbling around to get this piece to line up properly to put the clamshell back on, you don't have these crazy springs popping out everywhere like you did on the BP50. I don't know if for anybody that's taken apart the BP50 to dye it or to change a barrel, the biggest thing was the springs on the trigger group. But with this one, it's more like the Pastelli trigger group. The only thing that happened is when I was lifting it off, I noticed this pin wanted to, it was lifted kind of high. It wasn't out of its place, but it was sitting high like that. So I just pushed it back in. That's all. Okay. You want to know why woo, yeah, of course that's going to go flying. And that's got to go in before you put the clamshell back on. But you want to know why this gun's so rear heavy? For all you guys that were reviewing it saying, yeah, it's heavy in the back. That's why. Everything that's heavy is in the back of the gun. Especially now that I took the barrel out. Well, yeah, you got to get it in there first. So, and I didn't have to take the barrel out, obviously. This would have came off just fine. You want to over crank it, because then it'll be a bear to come out later if you want to take it out to clean. And I would recommend always, nice thing about this gun, the X68, is that the barrels screw in. I mean, it's super easy. Unscrew it, clean the barrel. Don't try to clean it while it's in there and then you run something through and you pull, especially if you got, well, it's probably more of an issue. Well, I don't know. I don't know if you could run a cleaner through there and still jack up that spring seat, even if the bolt assembly was in place. Maybe not. Maybe that would only be if you moved it out for cleaning and then you decided to go do something silly like run a swab down there. Still, I'd always just take the barrel out to clean it. I mean, why not? So that's what you're looking at. Similar trigger group. The detents look like, honestly, it's like a BP50. It's like the big brother of the BP50, who has sharing DNA with the Pastelli. It's another one in the family, I guess. Just somebody they're taking turns putting someone's name on it, but obviously it's all, it's all off the same type of technology, it looks like to me. Anyways, so it's not really super scary in here at all. I mean, the scariest thing is probably this little spring sitting inside here. Yep, that's got "lose me" written all over it. So although it doesn't seem to be under any pressure. But yeah, so putting it back together, I know this is going to be my pain, getting this lined up. We might have to do the old trick with the magazine, or I think different people use different things. Maybe this will work for us, because we're going to have to hold this. Actually, this will probably work really nice. Hold that in place so it doesn't move, because this is going to be wiggling around everywhere. All right. I know some guys swear by the using the magazine, which would make sense. You know, it's almost too obvious, right? Use the magazine. That's what goes in there anyways, right? It's almost too obvious. But I have used that trick on the BP50 a couple times. First time I used it, it worked awesome. I mean, it worked so awesome, I was embarrassed that I didn't think of it. You know, I was like, yeah, that makes way too much sense. Why wouldn't you use the magazine to aid in lining this up? The second time I went to use it, for the life of me, I couldn't figure it out. But I had terrible luck doing that. I ended up resorting to something more like this, just to kind of hold it in place. I don't know, it was the weirdest thing. So, I don't know. Maybe it was just me. Maybe that day I had no patience or something. So the bar for the trigger group, you know, I mean, what are we looking at here? There's a spring right here. Hopefully my hat's not getting, no, I can't, my hat's out of the camera angle, I think. Yeah, so there's a little spring right here, right? There's your Allen head, you know, kind of screws that kind of barely just hold these things down, right? This plate, behind the plate would be the sear. You can see there's the same, you know, underneath there you get your sear springs and everything. Right, there's like what, 2 springs I think I remember under there. That's one of the things you got to take apart if you make the mistake of running the cleaner through and you manage to get that spring stop popped out. Then you got to pull all this apart so that you can get it back in there. I know they do have that in here because I could hear it jiggling around when I had the bolt out the other day, the bolt and valve assembly, or what they call the piston assembly, I think. But yeah, you get the spring here, but nothing looks like you're going to lose it. I mean, that's wrapped around here, it's wrapped there, you know, so what you have is the same setup as you have on the Pistelli, except for this actually, yeah, I mean, it's not any easier for this to come out when you're pulling it apart than it was on the X68, the Pistelli. You know, this pulls on this, and then it levers this, and then it levers on there, which pulls down the sear and lets the bolt go flying forward. You got this spring that seems to do the same thing. It just maintains an upward pressure on this trigger arm, is what it looks like to me, right? Again, nothing new here. It's clean. It's clean and simple. What I'm interested in is what's missing here. And the X68 is where you have all that fancy internal regulator, restrictor, combo regulator in here, right? There's nothing there, which means there's probably a restrictor in here for CO2. Now, I don't know if it comes in or out. I don't know how hard it would be to unscrew this. Let's see. Do I want to even take a look? I mean, I'm so far so good, right? Maybe I can see in here. Do the old keep your thumb on the bar trick, right? Yeah, so what we have in here, and this is probably nothing you guys that have one haven't already looked at since you're throwing CO2s in there. But yeah, there must be a restrictor in there. Whether it unscrews or not, I don't know. It kind of looks like it could. It looks slotted, yeah. It looks like the typical big slot, you know, that you would have for a large screwdriver. I've never actually had one in one. I've had the drill on mine, on my Umerix products. But yeah, it looks like that would probably unscrew. So if one wanted to do that, I'm not making recommendations, obviously, for anybody to do that. But if for some reason somebody was only interested in HPA or wanted to run it through the handle, like I'm sure a bunch of you guys have already started doing, that looks like it would probably come out, and you don't have to worry about some sort of restrictor in here, as far as I know, unless it's on the other side. I haven't looked yet, so you know what? Maybe I should look. Maybe it's too soon to speak. Maybe they still have it, but it's on the other side. It's just I thought there was more on the Pistelli. I thought there was more to it. Yeah. So we take the bar off, and this spring wanted to go flying. We'll put that back. But that's really not a, it's really not a big deal. I mean, it's probably the same identical spring. You know, it's wrapped around here, and then it's got this little hook over here. It's like it's stopped for it. Put the bar back on, and all it does is keep upward pressure on that bar so that the bar rides on this and doesn't flop around loosely. So, I mean, that's kind of all it looks like to me. I'm pretty sure that screw's captive. I think this piece is captive. It just keeps wanting to bounce around, but I don't think it's going to come flying anywhere. But I'm going to be careful anyways, because, you know, until I open this thing, this gun was actually functional. The trigger group. We probably have what do we have in there? I don't see any springs, but I'm a little suspicious that there could be. And I don't want to find out the hard way. So, but I think yeah, there's got to be a spring in there because I can feel it's under pressure. It's under tension, so there's got to be a spring. For the life of me, I can't really see it. Can't see it. Unless it's internal. It might be between... No, it's got to be under there. Yeah, it's got to be a spring. There's got to be. I'm going to leave that alone for now because it's not going to impede my progress with lifting this out just to see if there's a valve and a restrictor on the other end, which I probably should have checked that first before I go and tell everybody that, yeah, there's nothing there. So, because maybe it is there. And it is, yeah, okay. So we do indeed still have that incorporated in there. Okay, so there is still that built-in regulator, right? The one that Sean's got a video on whether to bypass it or not. I still wonder if we could run without it and just stick the cap back in there, just pull the rest of it out. But I haven't attempted to try that yet, so. All right, but if we have this, I don't see why you would need a restrictor here as well. If this is what's regulating your CO2. Yeah, seems like over-regulating things. But then again, you don't really get that many shots as it is. Now, as I was lifting that, I should have been paying closer attention, but to make sure that the detent on this side didn't fall out. But it looks like they're held in with this grease. Okay, so you can see on this side you got another spring right there. So I'm going to put this back in here carefully. And hopefully that detent spring, everything lines up when this lines up. Looks like it did. All right, so I mean, there you go, folks. I mean, the other night I pulled out the back, the piston assembly, so they call it, you know, with the valve and the bolt and spring and all that stuff, and the cap and the firing pin, and then now we get a look at what it looks like inside here. Nothing big and scary. It still kind of resembles, I mean, it still looks like the insides of a Pistelli X68, and then a combination with the BP50. So again, this is going to be the tricky part here. So the good news is that really I didn't, you know, unless you needed to replace something over here or get it out so you can get to that valve assembly to replace O-rings in the the regulator and restrictor assembly, or if you needed to change out your detents, you're probably not going to be pulling this plastic cover off anyways, right? Because any barrel changes you do, the nice thing is you don't have to pull it off for that. You unscrew them, you screw in something longer or different, and you want to change it back, you unscrew it and you put it back. Most of your maintenance is going to be done in here, so you don't need to remove this cover, this half of the clamshell for maintenance, unless something's going on in here. Now look how bone dry this is. So I'm definitely going to put some silicone multi-purpose synthetic grease. I'm definitely going to put some in here since we have moving parts there. They use some over here, but they've neglected to grease anything over here, which is unusual. I mean, the Pistelli, when you open up the Pistelli, you drop it out, you get a little bit of grease in there. BP50, its assembly looks similar, you got grease, you know. I mean, at least there's nothing for me to clean, so I can just apply it, I guess. But all right, so that's that. I think it was this way too. Yeah, I think so. I think the higher end was facing the back on this front side. Yeah, it looks like it. All right, so I'm going to put the trigger bar back on. Make sure that this, I think the spring inside this trigger assembly is internal. I think it is part of the whole group. I don't see anything obvious sticking out. So now over here, this little spring, just pull it back with, and that's it. I mean, it's under very light tension. It doesn't take much, I guess, to keep this trigger slide or trigger bar from where it needs to be, right? That's it. Whoop. And then it just popped out on me. And then it popped out and everything moved. Come on. I spoke too soon. All right, let me try to get this spring out of my way. There we go. Yeah, so it's pretty basic. You know, I mean, it's no harder than what you're dealing with a Pistelli. Let's just put it that way. But there's still some similarities to the BP50. So I'm going to grease it up and put it back together. Just kind of, oop. I think grease farted at me a little bit. So I'm not going to go overboard with it, but I want to get some grease in there. Actually, this probably was overboard. I'll put some more over here. Yeah. that looks good. All right, now I know that just like the BP50, this is going to be my nemesis here is going to be getting this to line up for the clamshell. So this is going to be the tricky part. And that little spring in there. Oh, and then that and then in the meantime, this thing's going to keep trying to fall off on me. So that's going to drive me crazy right there too. The next video you see from me and I'm missing a front sight, you know why. Because I hooked it across the room. You know? Yeah, it's all right. I use a laser anyways, and I'll probably have some sort of dot optic on this at some point. All right. Yeah, that's going to be the tricky part. That's going to want to fall off, and aligning this is going to be tricky. Let me see. Which way is it supposed to go? Oh, all right. I see. I totally had it turned the wrong way. When I took it out, I guess. All right. How far down is this supposed to go? Yeah, I guess it just sits in like that. Just sits in like that. And we may have to hold this somehow like that. Possibly. Unless we try the magazine trick. But really, more than that, I'm concerned with this front sight. And then this hole right here is going to go over this pin for the trigger group. You little stinker. Did it work? Yeah, actually. All right. Okay. That went too easy, folks. Look at that. That part I thought was going to give me the biggest headache. That actually was so much easier than the BP50 one. So much easier. Oh my goodness. And I thought this was going to give me a big headache too. All right. The Lord is with me, I think, because that shouldn't have been that easy. Very good. Okay. Sorry, this video is very long. You guys know I'm long-winded, any of you guys that watch me. You may have to fast forward me. Hey, you know what? It's kind of cool. You guys probably already know this stuff. I learn things every day. And it was pretty cool when I figured out that you could watch YouTube videos and, higher than normal speed. And it's not so bad, I mean, I wouldn't suggest in doing it like 3 times speed or something, but I mean, unless you're able to process that quick. But I watch a lot of stuff at like 1.5 or 1.25 speed or something. Actually, this was the back of the handle. So there's 2 screws, and that's kind of nice when you want to be a little more productive. Just watch it at higher speed. So, hey, when you're watching Less Lethal Contingencies, right? And the guy's chit-chatting too much, you might want to just either fast forward to the live fire, which is what you want to see, or fast forward, or run me at a higher speed, I guess, right? I'll still get the credit on the channel, if you watch the whole thing completely. It does help my statistical data. So I would appreciate that. And, thumbs up. And I don't know who it is out there that keeps giving me thumbs down on video, on some of my videos that are got a lot of views. It's really weird. And I'm like, who really doesn't like this? But I don't know. Maybe it's just some trolls or something. But yeah, so we go around and tighten up the 10 screws. Remember, there were 2 that came out. Now on your gun, maybe it'll be 3, maybe it'll be none. I don't know. Maybe they'll all fall out. But it seems like this was the intent when they drilled these plastic screws, holes for the screws, was to also serve as some way of maybe keeping the screws a little captive. It's probably like a little gap in between the head of the screw and the beginning of the threads that allows it to kind of sit and be somewhat captive, would be my educated guess. And so far, none of the screws seem to be going in at, giving me any kind of problem here. So again, just be careful that you don't strip them out. Even though it's good quality plastic, it's still plastic. But it does feel like it's pretty good stuff. And, I mean, how easy is it to outsource these screws? I don't know. I still haven't tried to do that locally. So I guess, if I need to, I will. But so far, if you just take your time with it, seems to be all right. None of them are giving me any trouble. So, and so this is like, when I took apart the BP50, or even just looking at it, I mean, just looking at the back of it, right? You're like, wow, what is that, a baby Pistelli? Same type of bolt system, right? And but then they come out with this, and it just kind of looks like they took the BP50 and the Pistelli, and they got together and had a very large baby, or something like that, right? Very large, because this thing is in many ways bigger than the Pistelli X68 is. It certainly feels bigger, thicker in your hand anyways. Matter of fact, I'd like to get a grip for it, but pros and cons. I mean, the con would be it's going to be even thicker in my hand, but in the summer when you're sweating and you're outside, you're going to want a grip. This is, you're going to want a grip. You're not going to want to be sweating, especially if you're someone that has sweaty palms all the time. I know some of you guys out there probably do. Thankfully, I don't, but all my sweating's on my forehead. I ain't got no damn hair to hold it, so it just runs down and gets in my eyes. So, but I'm sure there's somebody out there that's going to find it difficult to hold on to this thing. I'm just going to go around and take a quick look and make sure we don't have any obvious gaps anywhere. It looks like it's together. And then what I'll probably do after that is I just snug these up. I'm not going Hercules, super strength on it. Let me make sure that the magazine release works. It works like a charm. That is so... This gun in many ways is refreshing to see them come out with something that is easier to service. I mean, even just the experience of having to deal with this mag release, putting it back together, was a piece of cake. For starters, that's the spring that usually bounces right the hell out of your BP50 when you go to take the half of the clamshell off. That's the one you're going to watch out for. That's the one that went flying across the room on me one time. I mean, always test to make sure your trigger feels good, but the funny thing is because the spring and this trigger group is all kind of internal there, but I can feel the vibration of that trigger bar. I can feel it, so I feel like nothing popped off on me. And there's no reason for anything to pop off. I wasn't moving this around a lot when I was putting the clamshell on it. So everything should be good. you'll know. As soon as you go and try to, if you try to fire it and then you get a dead trigger, it'll be that bar. It does happen when people take it apart. It happens all the time on the BP50. Not to keep singing the BP50 tune, but I can't help myself because, again, the commonalities between this marker and the BP50 and the Pastelli are just amazing, and I'm glad because both of those guns are fantastic markers. They have a lot of potential. All right, so I'm just going to go around and snug them up again, make sure I didn't miss anything, and then I'm going to put that rear sight on, which the more you take it off and put it on, the easier it'll get, probably. So again, I don't want to go Hercules on these screws, but just keep good downward pressure and just snug it up. Go as tight as you feel comfortable with, but don't go like freaking ape on it, This one back here especially, I feel like this one's very easy to strip out because it's one of the deeper holes, and it's like it's barely making because of this stop I have here. And I don't know if I have a long, oh, I do have a longer one. Look at that. Is it a number 3? I can't even freaking read that. Is it a number 3? It looks like it could be. No, it's smaller. But you know what? I'm going to see if it fits. Yeah. Hell, at least it reaches down in there, so I'm just going to go easy with it. Yeah, it fits. It actually fits better because the other one wasn't making full contact, I think. But that's good and snug. I don't want to strip my screws out. All right. All right, we're almost done, folks. Almost done with this teardown. I'm going to call this a complete teardown in a sense. Well, maybe I shouldn't call it a complete teardown because we didn't take apart the regulator restrictor combo. But you guys know what that looks like. I mean, Sean's got a really good video on bypassing that, when to do it, how to do it, if it's worth doing it. I guess the outcome was if you're shooting HPA, there's gains to be had in doing the bypass that Sean from Less Than Lethal Dummies was speaking of. But with CO2, maybe not so much because, let's face it, it's there for a reason. Sure, maybe you'll get one powerful hot shot, if you go and bypass it on CO2, but you're giving up shot count. You're definitely giving up shot count. So, but if that's all you want is one glorious, powerful shot, and that's all you want, then hey, choice yon. Have at it. So, all right, I think it's good here. It's back together. Just gonna put the rear sight on. I tapped it out that way, so I'm gonna. Which way does this go? Oh, hot shit, I just noticed that too. There's like a little set screw. I probably should have loosened that up. Yeah, okay, don't do what I did. Apparently, just undo the set screw and it will probably push off with your fingers. You won't need to be banging it out with a brass drift. Yeah, okay. So, I'm going to make life easy on me here, and I'm going to do what I should have done to begin with, providing I have the right size. And looks like I do. Yeah, so guys, don't do what I did. I did not observe. I assumed it was just going to be a deal like with BP50, right? But as it turns out, they thought about taking this thing apart or at least changing the sights out. Oh, another thing too is they probably did that because maybe that allows you to mount one of those, I forget what they call them, those other mounts that the hell they call them. Well, anyways, you know what I'm talking about. One of those dot sights that are low profile, so you probably remove this. So that's probably why they have this set screw here, so that keeps it tight, but yet you can loosen it up and slide it right out, would be my guess. At first I thought it maybe was for adjustment, but no, there's no way you're going to adjust that with that set screw. All you do is just tighten it down until the plastic broke, probably. So, all right. Which way does it go, though? I don't remember if which way it was facing. Does it matter? I don't think it matters. Yeah. All right. I mean, that's it. And then tighten down the set screw back down. Yeah, so maybe another time what we'll do is we'll check out we'll do a complete tear down and remove the valve and restrictor and see. I'm guessing it's identical to the Pistelli, so I don't know what value there is. Sean's broken it down. I think some other people have done it. MCS, if I'm not mistaken. They took it apart to show you about the O-rings and stuff, how to replace the O-rings. So I don't think you need less lethal contingencies to do it and show you something you already have seen. So I'm not, but I don't know. It wasn't too bad taking this apart, I gotta say, and everything's working. I mean, the true test will be when I shoot it tomorrow. It's too late tonight to do it. But yeah, there you have it, guys. Mercury Rise IntruBuster Generation 2. Semi-full teardown. Inner workings. A look behind the curtain, so to say. Anyways, thanks for watching, and hopefully you found this educational, and if not, entertaining. Peace out.